What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso. AM Coffee to kick off your day. 15 minutes on reasonable Jets rookie expectations as they sit here in May. Rookies are getting on the field. Contracts are getting signed. Numbers are being handed out. It's a good time to just talk rookie class before the summer gets here and before it's schedule week. And we could talk about Little London in October, probably a lack of primetime games and plenty of other fun topics. Now, in April, I think we did 89 podcasts, which is psychotic. I don't think we're going to beat that number in May because there's not a draft, but we're going to take a damn good run at it. And how do we do so many podcasts? I have to give a shout for the boost from our good friends from Magic Mind, my productivity hack. I take it every morning with my coffee. Great natural ingredients, highest quality, clean ingredients in the products. We have a new discount code for our listeners and only our listeners. It is Jets40. There is a link in our bio, and that is 40% off your subscription. Only the first 10 orders get it. So go take advantage of that code Jets40. Magic Mind, nice quick energy shot. You take it in the morning. I take it alongside my coffee. You got some lion's mane. You got some turmeric. Don't tell me in the comments that I may have pronounced that wrong. That's how I pronounce it with my New Jersey accent. But it's got that anti-inflammatory, antioxidant boost that you get from those ingredients. And again, it does not weigh down the taste at all. It goes down very smooth, and you could feel the immediate positive impact going through your mind and body. So take advantage of our code Jets40, take advantage of the all-natural ingredients in a Magic Mind. So, Jets rookie class, right? This is a team with relatively low expectations nationally. Generally, that means you're going to see younger players get more opportunities than you usually would. This is not going to be a very veteran-heavy, loaded team. It's a younger team. It's a team that should be seeing as much as they can of their rookie class and maybe some of their undrafted free agent class. Now, if we go through this one by one, right, Armand Membu is going to be the day one starting right tackle unless he gets hurt, which God willing, that's not going to happen. You're hoping that he starts every single game, that he gets better as the season goes on, that you leave feeling as encouraged as you were from Fashanu last year when you saw games and moments where you're like, wow, this guy gets it. He's really good. He merited being picked in the top half of the first round, and you could see it. You could see he looks the part of a starting tackle in the medium and long term for you. And with Membu's athleticism, I think some of the things he's going to be able to do right away in the run game is going to be really fun to watch. Like any rookie tackle, there are likely to be some growing pains, but you let him play through it, right? You know, if the Jets get 15, 16, 17 starts out of him and he is getting better as the year goes on, this is going to be a really good offensive line and potentially a great, fully elite offensive line in year two. One of those ones where there's going to be no inhibitors to him walking in and starting and boosting the offense. They badly needed a starting right tackle, and the rest of the unit sort of falls into place from a depth perspective with him there. Second round, Mason Taylor. It's not quite as clean, right? He's a second round pick. Ruckert and Stone Smart are NFL players, but they're not starters. I don't think anyone credibly thinks they're starters. They're role players, they're backups, unless something goes really wrong with Taylor this summer. And I just don't think there is. This is a guy who started in the SEC. I think is a heady player who is going to hit the ground running. He should also be a starter right out of the gate week one and ideally start 17 games and be pretty involved in the passing game, even though the Jets are going to be counting on him to be a big part of the run game and bring his blocking and be a three-down player. Fields is going to throw the ball to his tight ends a decent amount. The Jets are going to have that boot game going. He feels like the kind of guy that 40 catches, 45 catches, 500-ish yards, a few touchdowns, a good blocker who gets better as the season progresses, plays a ton of snaps, lets Ruckert and Smart be more situationally used versus having to be full-time players. And for the Jets, if you're getting an encouraging rookie year of Membu and Taylor as full-time starters, you're feeling pretty damn good, and you're going to be able to run the hell out of the football with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis, and Justin Fields, you know, behind the two of them, behind Tippmann, behind AVT, behind Simpson, behind Olu. That's what you need, right? They drafted these two guys to start from day one and start every single game and learn on the job And by year 2, can we be plus starters, versus learning on the job? And I think both those guys, particularly Membu, have the talent to do that. Round 3, Thomas, is he going to start week 1? I wouldn't fully write it off. I don't think it's likely. They paid Stevens a lot of money. We know Sauce is going to start. We know Michael Carter is going to start in the slot. With Thomas, the talent may be so much that, he is pressing and has a nice summer and has some moments in the preseason. And if Stevens starts struggling at some point, are we seeing him rotate in? Are we seeing him get a look when Stevens maybe bumps to safety in certain circumstances? Thomas is going to make the team. Thomas is going to be the top backup at outside corner. If and when Sauce gets banged up or Stevens gets banged up or Stevens struggles, I think he's going to be the first guy in off the bench. I think he'll end up playing a decent amount when it's all said and done as a rookie. And whether it's due to Stevens moving to safety or Stevens just eating it on his contract, I think Thomas is starting by 2026. But as a rookie, maybe he ends up starting a handful of games. I think he ends up playing a little more as the season progresses. And I think he's one of those picks that you're like, wow, I think the Jets really found something there. And he's going to be a key player you're circling as 26 to take on that much larger of a role. When you get to day 3, we've talked about this a lot. I think Malachi Moore, they're going to give him every opportunity to start next to Cisco. Now, is he going to be able to do that? He's an older rookie, played at Alabama. He's got the Brian Branch recommendation. It feels like a great fit for a Glenn defense. I don't know how this regime feels about Tony Adams. I know how I feel about Tony Adams as a potential starter. My guess is maybe Moore is splitting duty when the season starts, but I'll be kind of disappointed if he's not starting by the time the season ends. Of course, he should be a guy who makes the roster with where he was drafted and with the Jets trading up to get him. Can we get to a spot where it's like week 14 and Membu, Taylor, Thomas, and Moore are all starting and you feel pretty good about it? If that's the case, the rest of this is going to kind of be details on this draft class. Now, Arian Smith, the guy we've kind of talked about probably too much, but we're going to have a film room that I think is really going to be worth watching on him if it hasn't hit already on the feed. He's going to make the team, right? He's a 4th-round pick. The question is he going to be active every week? Is he going to play on offense or is he just going to play on special teams? He's going to be a punt gunner. Maybe they test him at kick returner. Where and how is he used at receiver? I tend to think there's going to be a small package of plays they design for him as a vertical threat to take a couple shots each game, try to draw pass interference, try to open things up for Garrett Wilson. I think he makes the team. I think what you want to see is that he can play on offense every week. He can play 10 to 20 snaps per week on offense. He could handle, 1 to 2 targets each week. Maybe there's a game he gets 4 or 5 targets. Maybe there's a game he gets 0. But, if he has 20 catches and 2 or 3 catches over like 30 yards and scores a touchdown or 2, and you see the makings of a good deep threat and he's adding value on specials, you consider that a win for year 1. What you want to not see is like Malachi Corley last year. Like he's inactive most of the year. And when he's out there, he's kind of like brain dead with how he's playing. Hopefully that's not the case for Corley this year. I know we don't feel great about the Jets receiver room, but as it stands right now, like there's just not going to be a ton of reps for him. The Jets are not going to have all these sets with 3 or 4 receivers out there. He's going to start playing behind Lazard and Reynolds without a doubt. And then he's going to be battling, Tyler Johnson and Corley and all these other guys for sort of situational reps, of which there's not going to be all that much for the Jets' 3rd or 4th receiver because they're going to go heavier with their tight ends and running backs. So let's see the Miami defenders. Barron, you got one job, Barron. Knock Michael Clemens off the roster. Have a good enough summer where you can be a rotational edge rusher. You're coming in, you add a little size to the defensive line. You're playing a handful of snaps per game on defense. You're adding some value on specials. I think he's got a good path to make the team with how the defensive line is laid out right now. Same with Kiko at linebacker. Like who is the Jets' 3rd linebacker right now? Maybe they really found something with Jamin Davis, who they kind of picked up off the scrap heap, but he'll have a clear path to being the 3rd linebacker. So I think he will make the team. I think he will play specials. I think they will probably try to use him in like goal line packages as like a run stuffing linebacker. Got to temper expectations, right? All these guys should get like a credible at bat at some point, and 1 or 2 of the undrafted free agents very well may too. A guy like Dean Clark at safety. We'll see. We'll see if Brady Cook or Donovan Edwards are feisty in the preseason. Edwards probably has a clearer path to making it. Could Peyton Page stick as a defensive tackle? Maybe. What's most important for a Jet fan and what you're looking for is we have bookend tackles for the next decade. We have Membu and we have Olu. If you see that, that's going to be the headline from this class. I think Taylor is going to be just a very solid, steady, high floor starter from early on his career. And I don't think this is a guy who's going to be an all pro. There's definitely room for him to grow. Just consistent, reliable, works the intermediate passing game, is a good blocker. And if we're seeing signs of that in this kind of offense they'll have this year, you're happy there. And then, the rest of the picks are going to add sort of the variance overall. And on this kind of team, they're going to get opportunities, which is what you want. You don't want these guys buried on the bench. You don't want, Thomas struggling to get on the field if Stevens is struggling. Flip the switch, give him a chance, right? Even if you paid Stevens a lot of money, get creative in the back end. And we'll end up talking about more versus Tony Adams a lot because that safety depth chart is kind of thin too. Now, I don't know, do the Jets look at Isaiah Oliver as a safety? Do they look at JBC as a safety? Do they look at Stiggers as a safety? We don't know any of that yet, but him and Cisco is kind of interesting. And with Moore, he's kind of the player he's going to be with his age and how much he played at Alabama. So I think you put him out there and you know right away whether he's an NFL starter or whether he's more of a backup and special teamer. I'm trying to be optimistic that he can be sort of that like day 3 starter in a way that, Michael Carter was a couple of years ago. He was a 5th round pick, I believe, and he started from week 1. And there were a couple bumps along the way, but he was just kind of like good right away, like good enough. And you're like, oh yeah, he belongs. And I hope that's the case with Moore. It's a draft class. The more I talk about, like many fans, the more I'm feeling good about. I remain skeptical bluntly of 3 of the 7 picks. I'm likely to be wrong about my skepticism on at least one of those, just like I'm likely to be wrong about my optimism about the 4 that I like more. Usually these things kind of even out. The details, which they're just details once you get past your top 2 guys that you took in the top 50, they need to be impact starters and building blocks on your offense with Garrett Wilson, with the rest of your offensive line. I don't want to call Breece Hall a building block yet because I just don't know if he's going to be here long term. I think he'll be here this year and maybe the year after on the franchise tag. But those 2 guys kind of rounding out your young offense are immensely critical. So thank you everyone for listening. Let's enjoy the week. It's schedule release week. We'll have some extra podcasts around that. We'll probably do a little live stream on the YouTube. We will officially announce this very soon, but you're listening, so you should know. August 22nd, New York City, Badlands live show season kickoff party. It's a Friday night. Plan to buy your tickets, likely Memorial Day weekend. We'll get them out nice and early, but go talk to your significant other, go talk to your friends, go talk to your family. Hold the date on the calendar. It's definitely going to be August 22nd. We want to see you there. We want to see you in person. We want to go that much bigger than we did the first time around. So will be an exciting night for us again on August 22nd. So definitely come out, and it's like 2 weeks before the season starts. So the vibes are going to be high, even if Vegas has the Jets at 5.5 or 6.5 wins. And, we saved some of this for the main pod, and we talked about it last week. I don't feel it is homerish at all to not see the Jets as a 3, 4, 5 win team. To me, it's a 7 or 8 win team. Maybe that's too optimistic. I don't think so. I think what's probably mostly getting lost in translation is just how good this offensive line can be, and used correctly, how good guys like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson can be. We've seen moments, the consistency hasn't been there. That's not fully on coaching. Some of that's on those guys, but these guys have just not been used in a way that maximizes their capabilities. And when you have 5 good offensive linemen, which they may if Membu hits the ground running, and you have really talented skill position players, like exceptionally talented, which is what Breece and Garrett could be, and Fields is exceptionally talented as a runner at the quarterback position, like top 5-ish in the league, you could do some things on offense. And I think they'll be able to do a bit more on offense, pending Engstrand's competence, than many people assume they will be able to. So thank you everyone for listening. We will talk to you soon.